So, for those of you who are unaware, drugs, substances, and certain chemicals used to make drugs are classified into 5 distinct categories or schedules, depending on the drug's acceptable medical use and the drug's abuse or dependency potential. Today, I'm going to be arguing the claim that marijuana should be moved from a Schedule 1 drug to a Schedule 3. Schedule 1 drugs are defined as drugs with no currently accepted medical use and a high potential for abuse. Schedule 1 drugs are the most dangerous drugs of all the drug schedules with potentially severe psychological or physical dependence. Some, but not all of the drugs classified as Schedule 1 are heroin, LSD, ecstasy, and marijuana. For my significance claim, a change in schedule classification of marijuana would offer patients a more effective and safe alternative to traditional medications. For my first supporting claim, marijuana is safer than all other recreational drugs. I have here a study done by 2 men, one with a PhD in toxicology and the other is a professor who studies drug abuse. The study was done in 2014 using the margin of exposure approach. The margin of exposure is the ratio between toxicological threshold, which is the benchmark dose, and estimated human intake. The results were that alcohol, nicotine, cocaine, and heroin fall into high-risk category with a margin of exposure less than 10, and cannabis had a margin of exposure greater than 10,000. There was a study done by a medical doctor in 2014 that shows that the proportion of patients with non-cancer pain who receive prescriptions for opioids have doubled over the past decade. In parallel to this increase in prescriptions, rates of opioid use disorders and overdose deaths have risen dramatically. On the government website, National Institute on Drug Abuse, in 2014, nearly 26,000 deaths in the U.S. were from prescription drugs. Of those 26,000, 19,000 deaths were from prescription opioid pain relievers, including Vicodin, which is a Schedule 2 drug, and oxycodone, which is a Schedule 2 drug as well. Nearly 8,000 deaths from benzodiazepines, which are anxiety relievers, include Xanax, which is a Schedule 4 drug, and Valium, which is a Schedule 4 drug. In 2014, from the same website, I found that around 5,000 deaths in the U.S. were caused by an overdose of cocaine, which is a Schedule 2 drug, it means it's less severe than the Schedule 1 drugs. Nearly 11,000 deaths were caused by an overdose of heroin, which, like marijuana, is a Schedule 1 drug. There were no statistics found on overdosing on cannabis on any drug-related U.S. government website. I found a study done on laboratory animals by Leslie Iverson, who has a PhD in pharmacology. Laboratory animals, she says that laboratory animals can tolerate doses of up to 1,000 milligrams per kilogram. This would be equivalent to a 70 kilogram or 154-pound person swallowing 70 grams of the drug, about 5,000 times more than is required to produce a high. In Britain, official government statistics listed 5 deaths from cannabis from 1993 to 1995, but on closer examination, these proved to have been deaths due to inhalation of vomit that could not be directly attributed to cannabis. For my second supporting claim, marijuana is more effective than some of the most traditional prescribed medications. A survey of 1,339 people with fibromyalgia conducted by the National Pain Foundation revealed that those who have used marijuana to treat their symptoms find it significantly more effective than any of the 3 drugs approved by the Food and Drug Administration to treat their disorder. Those 3 drugs that are approved by the Food and Drug Administration are Cymbalta, Lyrica, and Savala. The results were that 8% of the people tested, or the people surveyed, said that Cymbalta was very effective. 10% said Lyrica was very effective. 10% said Savala was very effective, and 62% said marijuana was very effective. Another study that was done on marijuana and Adderall. Dr. David Bierman, a 40-year professional in the drug abuse treatment and prevention field, states that cannabis appears to treat ADD and ADHD by increasing the availability of dopamine in the brain. Dopamine is the chemical that mediates pleasure in the brain. A study done in Germany by scientists comparing the results of Adderall or Ritalin to marijuana on patients with ADHD showed that all 30 of the participants reported improved concentration and sleep and reduced impulsivity after starting on marijuana. This leads me to my inherency claim that the current schedule classification of marijuana prevents many patients who could greatly benefit from the drug from being able to use it. For my first supporting claim, 2 of the cannabinoids in marijuana have significant health benefits associated with their intake. So THC is marijuana's main mind-altering ingredient. It increases appetite and reduces nausea. CBD, which is short for cannabinoidal, is another chemical in marijuana which does not affect the mind or behavior, but it is useful in reducing pain, inflammation, controlling epileptic seizures, and possibly even treating mental illness and addictions. A preclinical research has shown CBD to have a range of effects that may be therapeutically useful, including anti-seizure, antioxidant, neuroprotective, anti-inflammatory, anti-tumor, antipsychotic, and anti-anxiety properties. A study done using CBD on rodents who experienced seizures showed that the rodents were given either 1, 10, or 100 milligram per kilogram of CBD, and the results were consistent. Every single rodent experienced less severe seizures than before being given the CBD, and the percentage of mortality decreased significantly. This study sparked interest from a raised claim that children with epilepsy were experiencing less severe and less frequent seizures after starting on medical marijuana. So following the rodent with seizures study, there have been 4 reported studies on actual people. 3 of the 4 studies reported positive results, including decreased frequency of seizures. The study of CBD with epilepsy is relatively new, so there isn't much more information on it, but anything that has been done has showed positive results. This leads me to my solvency claim that federally allowing marijuana to be used for medical reasons would increase society's well-being altogether. Prescription death rates fall in states where medical marijuana is legal. There was a study done in 2014 that showed results for each year after the laws legalizing medical marijuana were enacted. Each year, the average opioid overdose mortality rate decreased. They concluded that the states with medical cannabis laws had a 24.8 lower average annual opioid overdose mortality rate compared with states without medical cannabis laws.